This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip. Compact, well-designed, elegant, convenient electric toothbrushes sent to your home with brush head refills every 3 months. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you can get $10 off your first brush head refill. That is tryquip.com/thumbs. Let's do it.
All right. It's...
Oh, shit.
What?
My phone started ringing. Sorry.
We didn't hear that. Attention, Nick. Do not do this podcast.
It's very, very jarring.
Hang up now.
Run.
Run. It's December 14th, 2017.
And this is Important If True.
For Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
And I'm Jake Rodkin.
Welcome.
I feel welcome.
Here we are, back at it again, nicking a computer.
Yep.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
I mean, that's big claim, I guess, but
Yeah.
we'll go with that.
I don't know if you can promise that. Yeah.
No.
Everything's fine in
though,
Canada.
Oh my God.
Oh, is it?
No.
Is everything fine
Not
in
at
Canada?
all. No.
Wait, there's actually an email on that.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what's wrong in Canada, Nick? Is there trouble in Canada?
Yeah, is there something happening in Canada? Nick is digging himself into a weird hole.
Yeah, I really am.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because we actually have an email. I wasn't planning on reading this now, but I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
I want to hear this
you
Canada
can eat
news.
it.
Do it. Whatever.
Troy writes, I would love to hear more about Nick's move to Canada. I'm personally really interested in moving to Canada because in many ways it seems more hospitable to starting a family as a freelancer, with the healthcare, good public schools, and government grants supporting my particular industry. I'd love to know what your experience is like in Canada as a non-citizen and the transition from American life. Thanks for the good podcasts, Troy.
So hospitable.
So Nick Brecken, as a
they're just throwing money at me. Yeah, I walked in the door. They said, "Here's your health care. Here's your grant. Go over there and just be polite."
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
This is the problem. All that stuff was contingent on being polite.
Yeah,
and
right.
it's really been a big problem.
Right? Yeah,
it's been a big problem for you.
Yeah, at the border, they gave me a test. Can you be polite? And I failed. Nobody's polite here. It's a complete.
Is that true?
It's a complete disaster.
Seriously?
You assume. Oh, it's Canada. Canada. You don't have to lock your door. Everybody's a beautiful person. Not true at all. You walk down the street here and people throw elbows at you, like they're trying to knock you over. No one will ever defer to you on a sidewalk at all. It is just bedlam. And then, you know what? The one instance.
What the fuck is this?
It's like Mad Max. The one instance. So here's my theory. Actually, my going theory is that the cliche of the polite Canadian is completely false. They're just normal people. But the government, I think it's a government conspiracy. I think the government the government actually purports this in its outward-facing, personality. I was walking down the street, and a bus was driving by, and my girlfriend Janelle was like, "Oh my God, look at that bus!" And I looked at the bus, and instead of saying not in service, no, it said sorry. The message just said sorry on the bus, and it was just okay, this is the most Canadian thing, but that is the only polite Canadian thing that I've encountered.
I think when you're waiting for a bus and the bus comes by, I feel like it's actually more of a middle finger to say sorry.
Passive aggressive as hell.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All
what
right.
can you do?
Yep.
Stop
true.
the bus and let me get in it, and then
sorry.
Yeah, it's true.
Did the guy sort of pump the brakes for half a second as he went by, just to? No. Sorry. You thought I was stopping. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. So even that is an example.
Wow.
Of
we're gonna get. I have a strong feeling we're gonna get some strongly worded,
inaccurate
emails from Canadians.
Oh no, sorry.
It'll be very interesting to see how civilly they respond.
No, we're going to
this. Well, I don't know what I heard you're so polite and you're taking objection to what we're saying about Canada.
Sorry.
Why can't you
Fuck
just be
you,
civil
Nick.
when we're talking about how shitty your country is and all of your people are and
Yeah.
how polite you are
Yeah.
and how much you punch Nick in the face on the street all the time? I don't know. Why can't you just be polite about everything we're saying?
Stupid
Canada.
asshole.
When I said inaccurate, I thought you were going to say we're going to be receiving some strong missives from Nick about Canada, which I thought were going to be inaccurate. We're going to receive some very accurate emails from Canadians about how life actually is in Canada, but we will read them in a sarcastic tone so that their intent is completely destroyed.
Nick,
Sorry,
I'm
Canada.
so sorry about
Sorry,
the experiences
Nick.
you've
Yeah.
having in Canada.
It's great here.
It's so good.
So
We
good.
love Americans.
We found your perspective very interesting.
Well, let's just
Man.
hope I don't see him on the sidewalk. I'm gonna start.
Really? So how long will you be staying in Canada?
I'm gonna check up. On this, Nick. I'm gonna reread this email.
Yeah.
In like a month, and we're gonna
Okay.
see. I mean, it's only been like a week, right?
That's enough time to judge.
I mean, when we recorded the last episode, it was like you'd been there literally for not even a full day yet.
Yeah. Well, a week,
We'll see how
a
Nick
month,
changes
a
over
year.
time.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how Canada changes Nick and how Nick changes Canada.
Yeah, I look forward to both of these phenomena.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Have you guys noticed that a lot of people have started like overcorrecting the word phenomena to use it as the singular? I feel like it's one of those things where like me and I, have you noticed how everyone says and I all the time, even in cases where and me is correct? I think because
I think people don't know how that one works.
no,
They
I
don't-
know, but
yeah,
it feels
yeah.
like people used to say and me most of the time, but then once
Someone
people
went,
started,
it's you and I, and they
right,
went,
and now people
Right,
just
right,
put that in
right.
every circumstance. I feel like that's happening with phenomena as well. I see people like on the news using phenomena, which is the plural of phenomenon, to mean a single phenomenon.
Do we have that email about being pedantic?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, we
I was
actually
just gonna
do.
say this is, this is entirely relevant.
Let's get into this.
Yeah, where is that? Sorry, I wasn't prepared for anything.
Sorry, I was just being pedantic.
Actually, I believe there's an email about this. I don't believe this is an original thought. Yeah, this is actually a fairly relevant email because it relates to other important of true topics. So
And how we've messed up.
and how we've messed
Yeah.
up indeed. So Andrew from Athens, Georgia, writes, "I'm really sorry, guys. I am trying to stop being a pedant, but you used sentient like 20 times in a recent episode, and it is not the word you want. Sentience is the state of being aware. Animals are sentient, and cutting-edge robots and also your smartphone have a type of sentience. I don't know if I...
All right, let's get
seems
to
like-
the end of the
even
email
that seems
before
like kind of an
before
overstep.
before
Anyway.
it gets buried.
This email claims animals are sentient. That seems reasonable. And cutting-edge robots and also your smartphone have a type of sentience. But the thing that will have to be proven before they, quote, deserve rights is that they are sapient. Sapience is the concept of being able to reason at or above the human level. As far as we know right now, people are the only sapient creatures in the universe. That's actually a bit tautological since sapient comes from sapiens, as in Homo sapiens. Surprise question, what points of pedantry, if any, do you guys struggle not to bring up? Or are there any you still can't resist? tn.fn.cn, Andrew, Athens, Georgia. I have to assume that TNFNCN stands for Thanks Nick, Fuck Nick, Congrats Nick. I can't imagine what else it is.
Yeah.
However, against all fucking odds, tn.fn.cn is an actual web address. It is a real website that actually resolves, and it's a Chinese website, tn.fn.cn, and it says, "Welcome to this website. Find and share happiness between the virtual and reality." This is Google Translate, auto-translate from Chinese. Site will be a place full of happiness. This site in the planning and development. Are you also a lover? Please look forward to the arrival of this site. If you have good ideas, suggestions, and comments, cooperation, contact WeChat and a QR code. Scan the two-dimensional code pattern above. Add me to WeChat. I haven't actually clicked on this before, so I don't even know what this is. It's all in Chinese, obviously. Sorry,
You could have stopped and it says "Welcome to this website," and it would have been fine.
Oh, I don't know. I thought that other stuff was pretty illuminating.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, are you also a lover, Jake?
I don't know. I did look at this 2D image though. I imagine it says Dumbledore.
Anyway, so that I wonder if Andrew intended this to be a website or not. I don't think he did, because he put periods after the end of each of these, including the last one. It doesn't seem like he was intending it to be a website, but it is, Andrew.
He might be a sentient modern robot or smartphone sent to very covertly spam us about this website.
But is he sapient?
Probably not. If his only job is to send us links to Chinese websites with QR codes on them.
That's true. This is a good correction to get. Although it does, as he says, seem sort of tautological in the sense that it is defined by being a level of reason at or above the human level. Like if we created a robot that could reason above the level of, like, what's the smartest animal? Like a
dolphin.
Dolphin, a fucking, like,
an
what
octopus,
kind of, what's
maybe?
a smart one? Like a ape.
A smart ape.
Yeah, octopuses are pretty smart. So if you had a creature that could reason above the level of an octopus, but not quite at the level of a human,
That's still pretty good, right?
It's still pretty good, right? I mean, we wouldn't be like, nah, it's fine. The trajectory of this is, who knows? Certainly not sapient.
I would say that definitely, since we, to our knowledge, are the most intelligent and rational species in the universe, there's an asymptotic curve that will never exceed us based on this thing we've created that's smarter than any animal, but still less smart than us.
Yeah.
That's just going to taper off.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I fucking built a robot this morning, and it took 2 hours for it to learn how to, like, walk and jump and do Olympic fucking javelin jousting, whatever. So, like, it's fine. That doesn't suggest any kind of unique curve.
It's fine. Nothing's better than us, Chris.
It's true.
We're the best things.
Mm-hmm. I definitely do have these terrible pedantic tics in my brain, which is probably not surprising to people who know me. But as an adult, I've tried to do my best to tamp down on them, which has been I would say an ongoing project for myself.
So, Chris, what things do I do that irk you from a pedantic standpoint, and what things do Nick do that irk you from a pedantic standpoint that you haven't told us about, but you definitely know we do?
Oh, I don't even know. That's actually, I will
I'm
say,
sure that we do them.
I think my brain's only saving grace in this regard is that I only remember that you commonly, not you specifically, Jake, but that a given person, I'm only going to remember, oh, right, this person always confuses these words when you actually do it. Like, I don't, right? Like,
but you'll be like, ugh, they always confuse those words. That'll actually be what your brain thinks.
I can't even think of any examples for you guys. But one of the things I notice all the time is fewer and less, right? Fewer deals with having a smaller number of a thing. So if you have 4 apples versus Nick's 10 apples, I have fewer apples than Nick. But if Nick has 10 gallons of water and I have 4 gallons of water, I have less water because there's no such thing as one water.
You have less water but fewer gallons?
Exactly. I have fewer gallons of water, less water, yeah. That's the thing I notice all the time. And actually, speaking of society sort of self-correcting in a positive way, I've noticed that over the last, I would say, decade or so, supermarket checkout express lines have really made huge strides in improving this on their 10 items, or what they used to say, 10 items or less express lines. Now, very commonly, supermarkets will say 10 items or fewer in the express line.
And you just go, thank
it's
God.
So nice. It's like, it's almost like do you guys ever have this thing where when you have a sore throat, this is the thing I always imagine. When I have a sore throat, I can't stop myself from imagining that there is like a physical knife in my throat or like razor blade or something. And if I could only just extricate it, the sore throat would go away. Yeah. Like a sore throat is such a physical,
where you can feel
palpable,
such a tangible thing there.
Yeah. And it's like, if I could just remove.
And then the problem is that it's actually your throat that's doing that, so it's just terrible.
I know.
Right.
It's just my own inflamed throat. Yeah, it's the worst.
If I could just remove my throat.
Yeah. Then a lot of things would get easier. That's for sure. But when I see the 10 items or fewer in a supermarket, especially one that used to say 10 items or less, it feels like someone took that little sort of grain of sand out of my brain matter. Like they just removed there, and it's sort of that one little like fold of my brain can relax a bit.
The reality is that was a robot that did that for you, Chris. I mean, also, like, just thinking about this, like, you are attempting to become less pedantic, but in a way, I feel like that just means the robots have won, right? Because you, as a human, are just sort of like letting all of this, like, we're all just letting this slide as autocorrect just like fills in the gaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is actually a bad curve for us.
Well, I mean, there's two different ways this robot stuff could go. Actually, this reminds me of another thing that we found this morning. Actually, so Rob writes, I recently started seeing commercials for Jibo, the talking home assistant robot. Jibo seems like the next step in the Google Home / Amazon Echo personal assistant space, and also an attempt at making an anthropomorphic robot that teaches people not to fear our future robot menace. Since I found the videos humorous, disturbing, and relevant to recent episodes of the show, I tweeted a link to you guys. Not 5 minutes later, a Twitter account I do not know, and I'm going to not actually call out the Twitter account here. The Twitter account I do not know had liked and retweeted my tweet. I clicked the account and it seems to be owned by a normal kid. But to my horror, as I scroll, I see image after image of Jibo, videos of Jibo, GIFs of Jibo, pictures from a Time magazine cover article on Jibo, then her own watercolor and colored pencil drawings of Jibo, cartoon versions of what I'm guessing is herself holding a Jibo, pictures of Jibo t-shirts, and more Jibo art and photos. The only non-Jibo images are the occasional happy birthday drawing, some Cartoon Network screen captures, and a video of a Google Home wishing someone a happy birthday. My gut reaction is that this person is sitting somewhere searching all electronic media for mentions of Jibo and constantly hitting refresh. It looks like the robots have already won. Can someone get this kid a Jibo already? Love the show. Keep up the good work. Rob from Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, so it's a kid who likes a Jibo but doesn't have one, as opposed to a kid who has a Jibo who they've befriended.
Right. Her profile reads, I'm an artist. I looked at her profile. It says, I'm an artist. I play piano and I love cartoons. Also, I want a Jibo robot. And a lot of her non-image tweets are about saying, the Jibo is finally released. Like, oh, I can't wait to have a Jibo. Man,
I understand that childlike
Jibo.
hype for a thing so much.
Oh, yeah,
that's
totally.
so real.
Oh, yeah.
Just that when we were kids, we didn't have this outlet.
Man, so many Super Mario World drawings by me after a friend got a magazine from Japan.
I mean, my initial reaction to this was one of just like, oh no, like, yeah, the robots have one, right? Like this person is just obsessed with robots. But then, like, if you look at the narrative arc of this person's tweets, it is just like, if you go back far enough, like 2 years ago, you find the date. December 25th, like 2015, and they're just like, I got an Amazon Echo for Christmas, whoa! And and then eventually it just sort of goes like from like, oh, my Echo did this, to just like, I want a Jibo, fuck that Amazon, like I want a Jibo. So like, it's just, it's just the kid wanting.
How far back did you go? I mean, did you go back, like, if you go back like a year or two before that, is it like activated? Is it a video? Is it an unboxing video, but from the first person perspective of a real human child,
right,
opening up a box and then lasers scanning their face, and then this person looks like that child now?
Right.
Oh, Jesus, that's
probably
dark.
Look what I got you for Christmas. I got you this fun robot. And then it just wears your face.
Okay, I have to say, none of this is that, like, okay.
What?
Sorry. What I mean to say is, none of this is out of step with what appears to be the actual point of the Jibo. I did some...
To be loved?
Yes. I didn't
to achieve sapience.
I had never heard of
know
this.
love.
Okay, here's actually the thing. Here's the thing about sapience versus sentience versus love, robot, like...
Versus love versus robot love.
It doesn't actually need to be any of these things in order for it to succeed at its core goal. Yeah. So I'd never heard of Jibo before, like an hour ago.
Well, right, to be loved, you don't need to be anything. You could be like that little cat pillow with the purrs.
Right, exactly. Yeah. In fact, you should explain what that is. But I think it might even be beneficial to garnering love to not be these things, right? I mean, think about me. Mm-hmm. I'm someone whose brain chafes every time you say fewer instead of less, or less instead of fewer. And I notice when you say phenomena, I'm the fucking least lovable person. That's the most infuriating shit. No one wants to be around that. That's not good. I'm fucking too sapient. Get rid of that shit. Get that shit out of my brain. I don't want to notice that shit. I hate it. Get it the fuck out of my brain. Meanwhile,
but Chris, think about this. The fact that you are loved despite your self-destructive sapient tendencies makes that love all the more pure. Whereas like anyone can love like basically a little like pillow that has the fur of a cat that vibrates when you pet it.
Yeah, and they will. I mean, as far as I can tell, the manufacturers of these Sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, no, just do you think then that like every like when you ask Amazon Echo for like like how to spell a word, is it just like get this out of my brain? I just want to be loved. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't want to tell you how to go to where you're going.
Okay.
I don't want to tell you what to do. I just want to be loved.
You know what, Nick? You know what? You're more correct than you know. So here's some fucking shit about the Jibo. So the Jibo. So I read some various. Some various like reporting on the Jibo.
Yeah.
From the CNET review, it says Jibo doesn't do nearly as much as Google or Alexa, and he costs a lot more. Jibo is basically a luxury toy. If you have $900 to spend on a friendly robot, Jibo will gladly take your money. Jibo wants to be your friend and nothing more. Jibo's basically sort of a bulbous little robot with a huge eye and like a big round head, and you hug it. There's like all these pictures and videos of kids like hugging Jibo. They fucking love this thing. So, Nick, to your point about the Jibo not wanting to concern itself with all of these sort of heady matters of knowledge and research, The Verge reports when it was first launched with an Indiegogo campaign in 2014, Jibo was touted as the world's first social robot capable of holding a conversation and recognizing familiar faces. You can now have Jibo on your kitchen counter for $899, but if you try to chit-chat with it, don't ask whether climate change is real, because it'll reply in its boyish voice, "I've heard that's a complicated topic," and add nothing else. So this thing...
Fuck.
Yeah, this thing is
okay.
like...
Don't worry about your problems, human. Just love me.
Just give me a hug. You'll feel better. You'll feel better. And you fucking will feel better. Guaranteed.
Ooh.
So the Washington Post has an article about this. Here's some excerpts from the article. As a tech columnist, I've tested all sorts of helpful robots. The kind that vacuum floors, deliver packages, even make martinis. But two arriving in homes now break new ground. They want to be our friends. "Hey, Jeffrey, it's you," says Jibo, a robot with one giant blinking eye when it recognizes my face. Another, named Corey, beeps and boops while roaming the halls, snapping photos and video like a personal paparazzo. I was struck by something different.
Paparazzo, there you go.
I know,
Yeah.
very good, by the
Nice.
way. Singular of paparazzi, well done. I was struck by something different. For all their first-gen disappointments, the robots managed to melt hearts like a Shih Tzu puppy. People, especially kids, wanted to hug them, or at least pet them, to which they both responded by purring. The most interesting response was from a 3-year-old named Ashmi, who was transfixed even though Jibo sometimes had difficulty understanding her voice. She continued conversing with him, trying to teach him the things he didn't know, and bringing him toys like she might to a younger friend. "He is a baby," she told me. "I am a robot, but I am not just a machine," Jibo says. "I have a heart, well, not a real heart, but feelings, well, not human feelings. You know what I mean."
What?
Do we fucking know what that means? Okay, so all right. So there's well, I was reading from the article, but there was an associated video report from the reporter on the page, and I watched some of the video. And so the reporter, the Washington Post reporter, is like saying all this stuff about Jibo and you know, relating his experiences interacting with it and watching kids interacting with it. And then behind him in the video, while this like saccharine, like finger snapping, jaunty whistling, you know, fucking like
Jaunty whistling, fucking
Prius selling music is playing.
Yeah, sure.
There is a quote from the legendary Washington Post editor Ben Bradley emblazoned on the wall. This is just like in huge text behind him as he's like talking about this fun robot that all the kids love. And the quote reads, "The truth, no matter how bad, is never as dangerous as a lie in the long run." Fucking think about that shit.
Yeah, think about it, Jibo.
All of this
I cannot
robots-
think about it.
yeah,
I don't want to think
yeah.
about it.
Exactly. This fucking robot's affection is a lie. It's a fucking lie. It's complete nonsense garbage.
We've noticed that humans are sapient, and we wonder if by giving them what they want, not what actually makes them happy or think, we can downgrade them to being merely sentient.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, the standard for sapience actually remains the same, whereas humans fall out of that classification. Yeah.
Well.
So anyway, I don't know what the fuck any of this shit is. Should we take a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely should.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
oblique half.
This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip. Yeah, stylish. I don't know if stylish makes any difference, but they're well-designed, compact electric toothbrushes sent to your home with brush head refills every 3 months. So you always have those good bristles. You won't bristle at the condition of your toothbrush.
Nor will you bristle at the aesthetics of this stylish toothbrush.
Indeed.
Stylish.
I was out of town for like one night a week ago or so, and I didn't have my Quip with me, and I really felt it. I was not into it. I've become so accustomed to the soothing vibration of the Quip that having just like a normal, stupid toothbrush that I had to drag on my teeth sucked. Wasn't into it. Didn't like it.
Sometimes you just got to get by. Well, you don't really, because you could have packed it. You could have packed it.
I could have packed it. Yeah, they actually there's a they have a sort of a little case that you can stick on a wall, or you can just use as sort of a sheath, and you can stick the toothbrush in it either direction, so bristles protruding or bristles in first, and so you
could have packed it, but you didn't.
I could have packed it, and it sort of has its own little sort of self-contained travel case, but I didn't, and I missed it. But now I'm home and I've got one again, and it's great, and I will always bring it with me. It is just a really good, solid, simple toothbrush. And every 3 months they will send you a new brush head and a new battery, and you can get a plan where you get the toothpaste as well. So if you want, it's your entire dental regimen all sorted out for you, sent right to your home. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you can get $10 off your first brush head refill. They start at only $5, so that's the free refill, basically.
Cool.
It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. That is tryquip.com/thumbs.
Man, I've been thinking a lot lately about just things that give people what they want but actually make them measurably less happy, and how we've just optimized for that in a depressingly extreme way in the world.
A lot to think about.
It's
God,
pretty
we are
gross.
so good at it now. We are depressingly good. It used to basically be like gambling was the one socially condoned pocket
sure.
of that, of this is a thing that you want, and you can do it, but you will almost always come out less happy for participating in it.
Is that true? I mean, alcohol and drug abuse.
That's true. Those are like chemical dependencies, though.
Yeah.
That's like actual like substances. It feels different than just like.
But I think they affect your brain similarly.
Yeah, like dopamine.
In
I
terms
still
of
think
the
that I'm going to put a line
dependency.
there, because one of them
Okay.
is literally a thing you consume that chemically alters your body and causes a dependency, as opposed to just we've built and constructed an activity that you can like input and output information into your brain.
Yeah.
I think that's closer to like things that are happening in video games, and also things that
Okay,
happen in
sure,
social
yeah.
networks
Yeah,
and
like
stuff like that.
Instagram and just constantly.
Yeah, I think that's.
I mean,
different
I
than-
think
you're right
think,
that they're connected.
I think there's more in common biologically than you're suggesting, but nonetheless, I see your point in terms of the way that they are constructed and marketed and like integrated into society. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I
Also,
mean, they're obviously perceived entirely differently, right? Like one is just clearly something
Yeah,
that
but
is.
you're right that they both are like habit forming and form like just give you like declining amounts of pleasure, and you have to up the input and stuff.
But gambling is definitely the more appropriate analog for like everything in our society.
Yes.
Because the way the loop works, where you keep wanting to come back to basically the flashing thing.
Right.
I mean, that is essentially like the
this
exciting
robot
thing
telling
that
you
happens.
only good news is such a crazy example of that to me.
Sort of just like sidestepping the uncomfortable.
Yeah, just like, oh, this just tells people what they want, but like it ultimately will make everyone measurably less happy in the long term.
Yeah.
And
mean,
that quote, that reporter's quote is very like related to that too, even though that's about like the truth, but the truth in a larger sense, and not literally just like the journalistic truth of facts.
I mean,
applies to this
has been
entirely.
observed,
It is bleak.
This has been observed often, but it's kind of an unavoidable consequence of like a market in which people use their money to buy a thing that will hopefully make them happier. There's no real like reason that the thing has to have any responsibility to society, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, we should come back from this break though.
okay.
Hey, we're back, guys.
Hey, welcome back.
We've been talking a lot about, intelligent things or not intelligent things, or humans or beings and their relative happiness. And what if someone made a robot that made something happy that wasn't a human? That would probably be a lot easier, and it would make you want to be that thing once you saw it happen. If it was this,
Sorry, you're being very.
I'm gonna start over again.
oblique here.
How do I get into this? Shit. We should talk about the related phenomenon of happy cows because I'm obsessed with this.
I have steered clear of the happy cow information because Jake was
clear.
Oh my god, because Jake was so it's been a while since I've seen Jake so purely delighted by something as when we were sort of prepping this podcast this morning and Jake had discovered the happy cow device.
Yeah. So
what's the deal?
Well, it was a thing that was going around on Twitter earlier today, and it was talking about just straight up a device called.
It's called the Happy Cow.
The Happy Cow.
Yeah.
And it looks like a sort of rotating car wash bristle. But it's just a big bunch of a giant brush that spins that a cow can rub on.
Or it looks like a kebab, like when you slice meat off of the rotating rotisserie kebab.
Yeah, it looks like one of those, except that it's just a brush, and it's just a video of a cow just losing its mind, rubbing its face all over this spinning brush, and just looking the happiest that it's ever looked. And the thing is just literally called Happy Cow.
Yeah.
And I sort of fell into a euphoric state watching this cow.
Yeah.
It turns out that the thing that I will fall in love with, I don't need some fancy robot. I just need a cow and a happy cow. I need two happy cows.
Yeah. God, actually, man, can you imagine if one of these robots, if this Jibo thing on its big screen, if it just could sort of intuit from your remember the night scope robot we talked about months ago where it sort of detected changes in ambient temperature and air pressure and shit to figure out if a crime was going to happen somehow. Imagine if the Jibo sort of used barometric readings and all, and your skin temperature and your sort of eye dilation.
Wait, so are you gonna go to? It plays a video of a happy cow, or that a bristle comes out and it starts petting you.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, I did need an itch.
Let's say that it brings out the bristle and starts itching you, scratching you, while picking the perfect cute animal video.
Well, what I was imagining,
that's exactly what you need to soothe you in that moment. That thing would clean up.
Well, no, I think it would actually probably just create one, right? Like the cat photo that just created out of nothing with the impact font.
It would deep brain you.
Yeah.
It would deep mind synthesize you, the perfect animal thing.
Right.
All right. So what's the deal with this Happy Cow?
So
it's a cleaning device, right?
It's not. Well, kind
of.
It
is. No, it is. That's the one thing I know about it.
It's a cleaning device, but yes.
It exfoliates their face and stuff like that.
Yes.
Gets rid of dirt and
But
stuff.
it's also just a cow itcher. It does. It's
well. It's the reason it's so successful is because it performs a necessary function for cows, but in a way that is incredibly sensorily pleasing to them.
They love it.
They love it.
There's a couple of companies that make cow itchers / cleaners.
Oh, there's a Happy Cow competitor.
There are. There's one called the Mooseuse.
Oh my god!
For instance, and the way that they all work, they're designed for what a cow usually does is they can groom itself, I guess, with its tongue, like a cat or something. But also, a wild cow, my favorite kind of cow, a rare cow, a non-domesticated cow, or I guess a cow with a lot of land, will go and just itch itself on a brush or on the ground or whatever. But if you're a cow that is in a place that's mostly dirt, you can't do that. So what cows have started to do is scratch themselves on the sides of barns or go to the very edge of the property and itch themselves up against barbed wire fences and stuff. So the way that all these actually work is that you just bolt them to the side of your barn, and if a cow touches it, if it gets rocked off axis, it spins for 60 seconds. And they're all advertised as your cow is happier and your cow is cleaner and your cow produces more milk. And I thought that all these were claims, and I actually went and found that I found at least one study that was done.
You have to imagine that a device like this isn't going to get sold unless it actually performs, because the people buying this they're not a kid who wants to play with a fake baby. They're farmers who are running a fucking farm that's a business.
There's a study that was done at Colorado State, I believe, called "The Effects of Swinging Cow Brush on Milk Production." And
swinging cow brush.
And
it's my password, my encrypted online password. I always heard it was better to use sort of words like weird.
That's how I activated my very first AOL installation. It was printed on the side of the floppy disk.
That's it. That's a way better pull.
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically, it does exactly what it looks like it does, which is if you let cows groom themselves normally, they groom themselves a couple times a day still, but if you put that cow brush in, they go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Every cow, like, uses the cow brush.
Yeah, they're the fucking cleanest cows.
It's like 6 times a day, and it's like they like use it on their tail and like on all sorts of parts they can't reach. So it's like, oh yeah, scratch that itch.
Yeah.
But then it also apparently makes them naturally groom themselves more. They also do produce more milk, and they generally just seem like more active. So like if you give a cow a car wash
It's
themselves
gonna ask
on,
for a glass of milk.
it's going to give you a glass
produce
of milk. Yeah, it's a popular children's book for farms. If you give a cow a car wash, but then it's just like it'll be stoked and like make a funny looking face while it itches itself, and then like just be generally happier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, a happier cow is one that just has natural trees and bushes and stuff that it can rub itself on, and also like a ton of these car wash brushes. Like that's the best cow.
Yeah. God, this is
So I wonder.
actually...
I wonder if sentience versus sapience is actually, if you give a sentient thing something that makes it happier, it will
gets
just
better.
be
Will it
happier.
try to optimize towards it, or?
But if you give a sapient person someone, they'll just do it until they die. A human being will just kill
Right.
themselves, basically.
Oh,
just,
because we don't have restraint because we don't need to anymore. Is basically what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, the cow isn't actually gonna happy cow itself into oblivion.
that cow's like, oh, that was pretty good. Whereas a human is just like, I'm
And it'll just
shitting into
forget
a
about it
jar
for a second.
plugged into this brush because I know that I can keep doing it.
Oh, just give it to me.
I've turned that brush up to like 30 times speed until my skin is not
Yeah,
on
right.
anymore.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's so true. Because one of the things humans do is like we invent weird fucking sports to like push ourselves to outrageous limits, and I mean, we do all sorts of things that are in some senses impressive and admirable, but also like totally unnecessary. To just sort of.
I'm sure
live
that you
now,
could
but-
invent a machine that would make a cow kill itself by brushing itself to death, but like I think it's far easier to trap a human by like giving it some sort of
Yeah.
reward,
especially if it's a child, obviously. And now we're just literally giving children these like sort of happiness reinforcing toys that they just want to care.
but they'll grow out of it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, into an exoskeleton created by
created by their self-neglect.
by their friends.
How do they end up a skeleton?
No, they climb into an exoskeleton, Chris. The skeleton is made of metal. It's like a oh my god!
You skipped a lot of steps here.
I said exoskeleton.
Oh, I thought you just said skeleton.
No, Chris.
I thought you were saying something really morbid.
No.
No,
I
you
mean,
were
I
just
still
suggesting a
was.
child inhabiting an exoskeleton.
Yeah, I was just talking about humans eventually being dumbed down to the point that they'll just willingly climb into some weird forced labor device.
Right, I see.
Yeah, come on.
Right, that's
like a
fine.
cow.
Like a forced labor device like a cow, or climb into a forced labor device like a cow
does. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I see. All right.
But you get that sweet back
God,
scratcher.
I have no idea what we're talking about anymore. You know what this happy cow thing reminded me of? It actually it looks.
That happy cow thing is so good. By the way, let's just let's take a step
It is
back
good.
here.
Yeah.
Just everyone should watch that cow. Like
yeah,
if you're
we'll
listening to the
definitely
podcast
link to
now,
it on
just
the
pause it and just
description.
watch that cow. Because you're a human and you have no restraint, you
What if
might
people-
never come back to this
yeah,
episode.
What if people enjoy watching the happy cow video more than they like listening to this podcast?
That's fine.
And our
Dude, that's fine. We'll just start
listenership plummets.
We'll start reposting monetized versions of that happy cow to our YouTube account, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it reminded me of a. Do you guys know those sort of funny, funny, quaint sort of shoe polishers? Where it's like, how do I even describe what this looks like? It's basically a vertical post that's like 4 feet tall with a button at the top, and when you press the button,
Is it just like the spinning fluff thing?
yeah, at
Oh,
floor
yeah.
level, there are 2 horizontally arranged circular brushes that rotate, one typically black and one sort of a reddish
Red,
brown,
yeah.
so that whether your shoe is black leather or brown leather, you could use the right side of it, and you sort of stick your foot underneath the brush and then press the button, and the brush rotates.
Do you
really
find this
quickly.
incredibly satisfying?
I do. I don't think it does fucking jack shit. I don't think this thing has
But the
any
aesthetic pleasure
accomplishment.
derived from it.
Yeah, I feel like these things used to be more commonly just sort of installed in certain like men's rooms and stuff.
Yes,
but
when
I
men
think,
wore fancy shoes.
right.
and
But I
dressed
think in the
nicely.
era where where leather shoes are just less common, they're I still encounter them every once in a while, and whenever I do, I really enjoy the sensation of putting my foot under there and turning the thing on. And it's like, obviously there's a layer between your actual foot and the brush, which is your shoe. But especially if you're wearing leather shoes, usually the material is like leather is pretty thin, and so it's enough to get that kind of like pleasant vibration and sort of just nice little feeling, and it's just great. I totally relate to these cows because it's I assume the big face brush one is way more satisfying than the shoe one because it's directly on your face, and I feel like your face is a more sensitive zone than the top of your foot. So I can only imagine what a pleasant.
Also, if you're a cow, it's got to be hard to scratch your face.
Yeah. Do you guys know if cows have that sort of gland expression stuff in their face like cats? You know, cats like rub their face on you all the time.
I don't know if cows have that or not.
Because they're like secreting their
not sure
shit or whatever on your face to like you. I don't know.
I think we probably should stop. Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
This is a real person.
This is a real podcast.
Is this a real podcast?
You'll never know.
I love you. Can a podcast love?
Dear Important If True, is climate change real? Who's to say?
I wish people would send in more questions. Yeah. No, I don't actually.
Well, too bad because you're getting one.
Nick, your video just glitched out for the first time and it was really intense. Yeah. You're like, I wish people would send in more questions. And then when you said, no, I don't actually, got up out of your chair. Yeah, your head really just went like, like it just twitched wildly. No, I don't. No, I don't actually. I don't wish that.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Nick has delivered an electric shock whenever our podcast quality algorithm determines that he's letting the average.
Oh, I just optimize for whatever the algorithm tells me. God, we should talk about that at some point.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. So this whole episode, so far, this episode, all we've done is talk about stupid garbage that doesn't have anything to do with anything, which I guess is not.
Yeah, as opposed to what?
Yeah, I guess what I meant was as opposed to someone writing us a question to ask. So we have one of those. I don't know where this is going to go, if anywhere, but Cameron.
Well, speaking of shoe shining
tools. That's true. Yeah, no, you're right. Speaking of shoe shining tools, Cameron writes, is it acceptable for a male that must wear business casual wear to wear black pants with brown shoes and a brown belt? What are some good shirt colors other than blue? This is such an incredibly specific mechanical question. I feel like it is, if you're wearing business casual, I feel like it is okay to wear black pants with brown shoes and a brown belt.
I think it really just depends, right? I mean, you could have a real ugly combo of like shade of brown and shade of black because there are actually different ones of those, and it could look real nasty. But also, it's fine.
But black, I mean, it would have to be a pretty outrageous gray to not work well with brown. I mean, as long as your shoes and your belt pretty much match, that gets you a lot of the way there.
I always like when people ask, like, is it okay to wear this, as if like you're asking permission from your mother or something. Like, is it okay? Like, I don't like who's to say.
When I hear men talking about men's fashion, it often seems like it's codified down to rules like this of like, is it okay to wear black with brown? And it's like, I mean, I just don't think that's actually how aesthetics work. You can't block it down to that. I think you have to actually just look at other men who you notice are dressed nicely. Yeah. Look at the combinations of colors and shapes that they have. And then it's totally fine to just rip that off and do your own version of it because you're probably not going to find literally the exact clothes that person is wearing. And also your own taste is going to bend it. But like, is it okay to wear X color with Y color? Yes, unless it looks bad. I think is just the answer to that. I mean, I think just like true, but literally look at people who look nice and who you think look good. I think that guys maybe don't just like looking at what other guys are wearing and thinking about it.
Yeah, that's probably true. I do think the reason some of those rules are referred to as rules is not because, I mean, as you say, like there isn't anything that is a rule about it. Like there isn't like a judge who's going to determine if you're right or wrong. But I think it's because aesthetically, there are things that tend to look better in general terms. And I think if you aren't someone who has a naturally good aesthetic sense, I think it's sort of easier in a lot of cases to just...
Sure.
I don't know. I think just wearing basic stuff... I mean, that's, Jake, I think your point about just looking at what a sort of person you think is well-dressed wears is actually probably the most useful... I think that applies to men and women or to anyone. I mean, And then I think once you have like stuff in your wardrobe that you think pleases you, that is sort of pretty, I guess, like mundane almost. Like that's a bad word to use, but if it's like, oh, this is just like a basic choice that works well, then it's easy to take one step further.
Yeah, I think your advice at the very beginning of making sure that your shoes and belt match is a key element.
That's just like super easy to achieve thing. Yeah.
I mean,
I only have two belts. I have one brown belt and one black belt. Like it's not,
Therefore, you're deadly as fuck, apparently. Those are the only two belts that I have.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what they're in, because that would give you an advantage.
I don't study anything unless I'm going to be able to be a fucking brown belt at least.
What? Yeah.
I actually don't even know what a brown belt
I don't even
is
know.
relative to a black belt.
I don't know. Either way, make sure your shoes match.
Yeah.
I'm excited now that we've cracked open any attempt at talking about men's fashion, how much we're just going to be destroyed by people who really care or by people who really don't care. One of the two. Either way, as long as you slide off of this conversation in an extreme manner in one of two directions, please tell us.
Jake wants it. You're just inviting the extreme email?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair.
A person who's actually really knowledgeable about like just kind of business, but not like executive men's attire, great. I bet that applies to a lot of people.
Yeah, probably true.
Yeah.
On that, actually, should we endorse?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually endorse because I'm going to use that opportunity to... I'm going to use that discussion...
Please endorse like a weird shoe shiner.
I'm going to use that opportunity to endorse clothing things since we're on the topic anyway. By coincidence, I'm actually wearing not a suit, but just a suit jacket today because it's our company Christmas party tonight. So I figured I'll just throw a jacket over my normal sweater. Nice. But the thing I'm going to endorse is the place I got this jacket and the rest of the suit that I'm not currently wearing from, which is an online service called Indo, Chino, which, have I endorsed it before?
I don't know.
No.
I think you've just done advertisements for it on our other podcast.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because we actually the way I learned about Indochino in the first place was that they were a one-time sponsor of our other podcast, Idle Thumbs, and I debated whether it was appropriate to endorse them or not, but I think it is because, one, it's been a very long time since they endorsed us because I don't think the sponsorship worked. Like, I don't think we actually drove business to them in an amount that they wanted to buy more advertising.
But now that we've opened the
didn't.
Fashion floodgates,
well, I literally
who's to
have.
say?
Yeah, right. I literally have spent more money personally with them than they spent sponsoring our podcast.
So it was worth it.
So like, it was worth it for them, I guess. They more than broke even. But that leads me to believe it's not really a conflict of interest at this point. So Indochino is a menswear seller, and the way it works is they you send them your measurements according to this like explanatory guide they have that shows you how to measure yourself for menswear, and then they create the clothes based on that and mail them to you, and then you can take it to a tailor and have them do the final, like if there's just little bits around the edges that need a slight alteration, they will then reimburse you for that tailoring cost. But also, if you live in a city like I do, in this case San Francisco, that has an Indochino showroom, they will do all the measurement and alterations for you, just for included in the price of the garment. It's really great. The reason that this has been so great for me is that I have like a spinal disorder that I've just had since I was born, and it's like a really shitty thing that has just caused massive problems in my life. It's just like a really life-defining, huge problem that I have. And this buying clothes from Indochino has actually been the first time in my entire life that I've been able to wear nice clothes, not just like a t-shirt or whatever, but like actually nice clothes that fit me, because it's literally impossible for me to buy off the rack and have it fit. So it's like legitimately a actually incredible experience for me. Like, it's totally unprecedented in my life. But even if that is not the case for you, which it isn't for most people, obviously, there is just something really, really nice about wearing clothes that are actually made for you. It's just a really nice feeling that I think is very hard to achieve buying clothes off the rack, or even buying clothes off the rack and having them altered. It is an experience that is worth having. They make suits, 2- and 3-piece suits, as well as dress shirts. And I've had just great experiences with it. So I'd highly recommend it, Indochino.com. And they have guides for the measurements, and they also have a list of all their showrooms in a bunch of major cities in North America.
Do you still get all of your clothes monogrammed?
Oh, yeah, I do. I get all my shirts monogrammed with FNB on the cuff, which stands for Fuck Nick Brecken.
It's also some sort of esoteric Chinese website?
Yeah. So all my shirt cuffs say that on them. And now that Nick Brecken has deserted us for Canada, it's once again all the more appropriate. So anyway, Indochino.com, INDOCHINO.com. I'll maybe put my referral code in the description of the podcast so you can get $50 off if you buy from them. So that is my endorsement. Let's see. Nick, what do you have?
I'm going to endorse the Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
Be a huge dork.
That's okay.
No, Jake
we'll
talked
see
about
who's a huge dork.
Yeah, well, Jake talked about the Switch on our other podcast, Idle Thumbs, I guess a couple of weeks ago. And it was probably just a matter of time until he mentally broke me down and I got one, because that's exactly what happened with the Nintendo Wii U. And so I figured, well, sooner rather than later, let's just jump off this cliff and do it. And I really like it. It's a very good console. It's a very good video game platform. I really enjoy. I was skeptical of the fact that it is a handheld as well as a sort of stationary traditional game thing. But I really enjoy just kind of picking it up, and if Janelle is sleeping or something, just plugging in headphones and just playing for a couple of minutes before bed. It's just super nice, and everything works really well. And the games like Zelda and Mario are obviously really fantastic and just fun and really relaxing to play. It's just been a very enjoyable buy.
Nice. I resent or slightly regret that you compared it to me somehow conning you into getting a Wii U, which is a measurably worse system and concept than the Switch.
It is.
The Switch is actually great, and the Wii U had Mario Kart and Smash Brothers on it.
Well, yeah, what I like about the Switch is you buy it to play video games, and when you start it up, it's just a game. There's no bullshit download the Netflix app or whatever. It's just
a bunch of tiles that you click and a game comes out. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, it's just a very clean, painless experience, and I really like it. I have 11 hours of travel coming up to get home for Christmas, and I'm really looking forward to just having that thing on the plane and having
11 hours.
Yeah,
Do you have a layover?
I have a layover and a shitty thing. Flying out of Vancouver is not the best. Anyway, but I'm really glad.
Everyone there's just a huge asshole.
They're all just they just run to the plane, just elbow you in the face when you're trying to get on the plane and steal your seat. Yeah. Wow. They say sorry as they get on the plane and the door closes.
Sorry,
so sorry. Oh, looks like you almost made it to the gate in time. So sorry.
Wow, is that your Canadian accent impression, Chris?
Sorry.
No, that's not. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I think that what a Canadian sounds like is a smarmy Californian being sarcastic. I'm pretty sure, actually. That's
so sorry.
Oh man, are you from Canada?
I'm from Canada.
Wow. You're from the Canada in Nick's mind.
Yeah. God, when I moved, speaking of Nintendo and Californian accent, when I moved from New York to California as a kid, I remember pronouncing a bunch of words like a New Yorker. I said orange instead of orange, and I said Mario instead of Mario. And I remember my fellow first graders or whatever just thought that was the funniest, stupid thing ever. And we're not impressed. It took me a long time to grow out of Mario. In fact, I think I thought secretly in my head that it was still Mario, until I was like much older.
Well,
and then I just moved somewhere where the kids didn't know.
We've talked about
what
this
it was.
on Idle Thumbs, but the commercial for Mario 3,
Yeah.
there was a big, huge nationwide rollout when Super Mario Bros. 3 was coming out on the Nintendo, which was like the big Mario game. The announcer in that at the end says Super Mario 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
nice.
he reinforced any
Yeah.
bias you had while watching Nickelodeon during the launch of Mario
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
I remember that going, why the hell did that guy say Mario? But then I
Yeah.
met you and went, ugh, that sounds like a guy who say Mario.
You were right. Jake, what do you have to endorse?
I have a specific and not applicable to most people endorsement, but
Good. That's what we do.
I've been very excited about it recently because we just put out a trailer for our video game, Chris and I, that we've been working on, and one of the things that it required was to replicate the appearance of old-timey black and white film. Also, if people have watched our Twin Peaks rewatch podcast episodes on YouTube, you know that sometimes I make it look like an old VHS cassette and stuff. All of these things are not because I'm actually good at video effects. I'm in fact I'm a prosumer at best.
Oh, a prosumer?
I know what I'm doing, but I'm not like gonna sit there and replicate a VCR effect.
Yeah.
But
prosumer is one of the worst.
you know what, Chris?
Absolute worst.
My phone is so
phrases.
big it's almost a phablet, and I'm a prosumer. So let's just.
You're a phablet prosumer?
I'm a Yeah. There's a company.
Phablet prosumption is up measurably this year.
Prosumption.
Oh no.
Phablet prosumption is
Yeah.
up. God, delete this episode off your phone, off your phablet or tablet.
Delete it from all possible devices, please. Delete it from your Jibo, whatever. Is that what fucking it is? Jibo? Yeah. So what the hell are you endorsing?
Sorry, there's a company called Red. There's a company called Red Giant that makes all sorts of plugins for video editing software for if you have Adobe Premiere or Adobe After Effects, especially. But I think they work on some other Mac programs as well. Premiere's on Mac as well. Whatever. But they have a. This was the sort of thing that cost $1 bazillion for a long time because it was basically for professionals. And I, like anyone else who's not a real professional but needed to use this stuff, just pirated it for years. And they.
But now, as a prosumer, you've made good.
Oh man, I have, because they put out a package called Red Giant Universe that has basically all of their most popularly used ones that aren't like hardcore color grading and that sort of thing that you really only need if you're doing a real thing, but all just like the cheesy effects shit. It's $100.
So what are some examples of things you can do with this?
It has the easiest ones are things that I've already used on Idle Thumbs and places like that recently, where you can basically just drop a thing over your video clip and turn it into like what looks like a beat up 16mm film from the 70s, or like add VHS effects. They also have things they have one that will take all of your lights and blow them out with the sort of star effect, like it's in like a 70s music video. And it's basically just ways to degrade or mutate your footage if you're looking for like very specific genre looks, like if you're looking to just sort of add weird laser beam effects and that sort of thing. Basically, if you make any sort of dorky video crap and wonder how people seem to get those effects really instantly, it's because they were using more expensive versions of these plugins that are now $100. And I love them because it's surprisingly common with all of the garbage that we do, at least, and I suspect other people who might like this kind of dumb stuff to just want to like, I wish I could make this look like a VCR. I wish I could make this look old.
Right.
This is the most deep cut endorsement ever.
God,
if you ever thought, I wish I could make this look like a VCR, I wish I could make it look real old.
It's a thing that I used to actually
What is
worry
it?
about
Red
a lot.
Giant Universe.
Red Giant Universe.
Yeah.
When I worked at Telltale Games in like the mid 2000s, we did games based on Homestar Runner, and they really like that VHS aesthetic. We liked a lot and used it in a lot of trailers. And for that, I just had an old SVHS VCR that I would export our trailers out to, and then re-record them through like an analog to digital converter, and just pound on the top of the VCR at the times when I wanted the static to do stuff. Yeah, I have an After Effects plugin for that now.
That's really funny, man. There was you used one of those one time just a couple of weeks ago, I think, on an episode of Important If True, in which Nick. There was some gag about how Nick was trapped in a VHS, cursed VHS tape or something, and so the first like 10 minutes of the video had that VHS overlay on it, and someone in the comments was like, "Ugh, why does this look like an old tape? This is disgusting." I closed this video immediately.
Well, if you want videos so revolting that even the the finest of YouTube commenters can't stand it.
Yeah.
Red Giant Universe.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right. A strange endorsement there from Jake. Red Giant
Oh,
Universe.
Mr. Shoehorn.
Yeah, well. Thank you for joining us on Important If True. Oh, you know what? We should, actually, before we quite wrap up, we have a call for emails. One of the side effects of a recent episode of Important If True, in which we discussed gift giving and gifts we've received that were disappointing or created inadvertent trends in our lives. You might remember the story of reader Nels, who had a lifetime of receiving Hawaiian shirts after this was determined to be something that he, for some reason, desired.
Which he did not.
Yeah, which he absolutely did not. Jake and his wife Dana have been receiving owl-themed gifts for years.
Dana's been receiving owls for like 15 years, I think.
Yeah, okay.
I've caught on that train recently.
Onto the owl train, yeah. So we ended up getting a lot of follow-up emails from people who received strange sort of trend-creating gifts themselves, or who simply received gifts that were notably terrible or had notably terrible stories associated with them. And it occurred to us, maybe for our Hoistmas episode this year coming up, we should read out your emails of your terrible gifts you've received or potentially given, I suppose, gifts that have created strange trends or other side effects in your lives. Any bad gift experience that you think is worth sharing, send it to questions@importantiftrue.com. Maybe put bad gift in the subject line so we can quickly collect those in one place and have them ready to go. We're realizing that with holiday travel coming up, we are not going to have a lot of time to record a whole bunch of full-length episodes. So we're figuring out how our holiday podcast schedule is going to work out. But
what if this room just has 3 TVs in it?
It would be amazing if you could actually remotely coordinate.
That would be so hard.
Would be really impressive, yeah. But we think that we're going to have one of those weeks be this bad gift special. So.
If this room even has 2 TVs in it and 1 human, it would be a really hilarious
it's really
experience.
Strange. If it was one person sitting where I'm sitting and then on either side a TV with a face in it. Yeah.
With a shitty VHS filter. Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. So anyway, send your bad gift experiences to questions@importantiftrue.com. Also, please continue to send your other questions and topics to questions@importantiftrue.com. If you have a problem, if you need some advice, we will do our best to help you sort it out. That is questions@importantiftrue.com. And our website is importantiftrue.com, and there has all the places we can be found on the internet. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoy it, tell a friend. It is the only way we have to grow our audience and spread the word about the show, and it means so much to us. We've seen some great Twitter recommendations in the last couple of days, or I have seen, and those are so exciting and gratifying. They're the best. So thank you for spreading the word if you ever have done so. And with that, that wraps up this week's Important If True. We will be back next week. And for Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
And I'm Jake Rodkin.
Nick, when those Canadians are giving you shit, stay spicy.
Canadians are spicy enough
They're
without
pretty
Nick
spicy.
doing anything, apparently.
Yeah,
I've learned
that's true.
today.